pageant story time slash Q&A, pageant Q&A. And that is because I've looked over the questions, and one of the questions asked me about my first experience doing a pageant. So we're going to talk about that. I do have the questions written down here, so I do know what they talk about already. But of course, I'm going to answer them. So of course, the first question is, how was your first pageant? I was about, I want to say like 12, 13 years old when I did my first pageant, like my first official pageant. And it was Miss California West Coast. And at that point, I had already been modeling and acting. And the pageant director had found me through a casting thing. So I'm still in that casting website, and she had found me there. And she had contacted my mom, and she was like, I think you guys are perfect for this pageant. Come try it out. And at first I was a little worried about it because I hadn't done a pageant before. I wasn't too sure about it. I knew for a fact that it wasn't the same as modeling, and I was a little bit worried. But at the same time, I was really excited because a pageant had been something that I had been really wanting to do at that point. So I took a risk and I said yeah. And the next thing I knew, like a month later, we were in the orientation room. And I remember arriving there, and all these girls just looked so gorgeous and beautiful. And I just remember thinking, I do not belong here. I don't belong here. And it was at that point that the director was like, hey, how are you? How are you doing? And I was like, hey, I'm nervous. And she kind of gave me a pep talk, and she basically told me that I do belong here and I'm going to do amazing and that she'll be with me throughout the entire thing. And this really raised my spirits to do this. And I do have to note that I wasn't very confident at this point in my life. I was lacking that confidence. And as soon as orientation ended and we got our schedule and of course what we would have to do for the pageant, I was very pumped, very scared, very excited. I don't know if that's like an actual feeling you can have, excited, scared, pumped. But I was feeling so many things at the same time. And the day of the pageant, I remember getting there and I was just thrilled. And I walked that runway. And of course, it was more modeling than pageant. But at that point, I'd been practicing the pageant steps, trying to lock them down, being like, okay, this is pageant steps, this is modeling steps. They are not the same. So, I placed second runner-up. I didn't win, but I felt like a winner. I don't think that makes sense. How do you not win yet feel like a winner? I felt like a winner of my own life. Even though I did not take home that crown, I took home my own personal crown, like my confidence crown. I felt so confident in myself and who I was as a person that it just gave me this thrill of knowing who I am and knowing where I belong. And I remember so many people were congratulating me because they were like, oh my god, it's your first pageant, you made second runner-up. And there were some people also saying like, oh, you'll get them next time. But I really did not feel like I lost. I felt like I gained something. I felt like I gained myself, a part of me that I was missing. So that was my first pageant experience. And I've had so many more experiences since then. I mean, I think at this point I've done like 10 pageants. More than 10 actually, because I hold about 14 titles. And so yeah, I've done more than 14 pageants in like, started when I was 13. So in like 3 years or so. Wow. Wow, that made me just think back to how I felt at that time. So yeah, to answer your question, that was my first pageant experience. Kind of summarized a lot of things that happened. If you guys want to know more about different pageant things that have happened to me, I definitely have a lot of stories all crazy, some heartwarming, but I have many, many pageant stories. So, second question, where can I find a pageant? Okay, so there's actually more to this question. She added that she had been trying to find one but didn't know where to find one. So to answer your question, it really depends. For me, I was found through a casting website, so you can definitely sign up to a casting website, and you can DM me, and I can provide you some good casting websites that will give you pageants. Or the other option is what one of my friends did. When she wanted to go into pageants, she just looked up her city's pageant. So she put in the name of her city and then put pageant at the end of it. And a bunch of pageants came up. Like, honestly, starting at your city is the best place to start when trying to get into the pageant world. Because usually city pageants are very small and very beginner level. So I really would recommend just going into the website, like Google website, and just searching your city pageant, or you can DM me on Instagram and I can provide you with some casting links or send you personal pageants yourself. There's a ton of pageants out there, and if you find one, you can ask me about it and I probably know about it, or I know a friend who's done it and they can give you their experience on it, or I can give you my experience on it. So yeah, that's definitely something you can do. So, oh, by the way, my Instagram is going to be right here, so you can DM me if you would like to. I don't know if I'll edit it in, but I probably will because I'm pointing at it. Tips for a pageant. It depends on the type of pageant. Every pageant is different. So what I would recommend is if you're going to do a pageant, do some research before you do it. Do it. So Google on it, look at past videos, look at past competitors. Of course, not everything is the same, just like not every person is the same as they were last year, not every pageant is the same as they were last year. Pageants do change. But seeing a last year performance might help you focus on okay, this is what the pageant kind of looks for. And some just basic pageant tips is to always be prepared. So for instance, I have 2 gowns that I always carry with me to every single pageant. I have my main gown and then I have a backup gown. The reason for this is because things happen. Either one girl is going to have the exact same gown as you, or you might rip your gown, stain your gown, lose your gown. I've had friends of mine that have lost their gowns either when traveling overboard. Like one of my friends, she went to Paris for a pageant and she lost her suitcase. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. She lost her suitcase that contained her pageant gown. So she lost her pageant gown. So I would recommend taking 2 pageant gowns, if possible, putting them in separate suitcases if you're taking 2 suitcases. That way, if you lose one suitcase, at least you have the other suitcase with your pageant gown. So yeah, definitely backups of pageant gowns. Actually, backups of everything. I switched what I said. Back up everything. Back up your makeup, back up your lashes, back up your hair extensions if you're taking hair extensions, back up gown, back up swimwear, back up, what's the other one? Exercise? I think it is. It's the exercise portion. Sports. Back up sports. Always carry basically a backup of every outfit and everything you're going to need. If you feel like you don't really need something, then don't back it up. But if you feel like you do need that thing, back it up. Always bring a backup. Sorry, my hair is like in my face. I tried to be pageant today, but my hair did not work with me. So, oh well. What's another thing? Interview. So, like I said, each pageant is different. So some pageants have interview, some pageants don't. And it depends, like I said, just really do research on your pageant that you're going to do. And of course, they tell you if you're going to have interview. And usually with interview, you have a judge's sheet that you're going to fill out with your name, your age, your school, your grades. Sometimes they ask for your grades. So yeah, if you're a pageant queen, you're going to want to make sure you're always keeping those grades in check. What's another one? Oh, they ask you for your bio. Your bio is just basically information about you, background information like When I was 6 years old, I did ballet. So that can be like a really nice, cool background. Something that lets them know your personality, who you are as a person. And then they ask you for your platform. Not all pageants do this, but the majority of pageants do. And some call it different things. I've heard it be called what do you advocate for? And just the basics of it is called platform. Your platform is the thing you inspire to work hard on. This can be, it's basically like an idea, and it can be a different thing for each person, or it can be a particular thing for that pageant. For instance, for Miss Earth USA, they usually do a platform revolved around the Earth. Um, like last year when I did Miss Earth USA, my platform was giving the Earth a voice. But I've done pageants where my platform has been bullying, and pretty soon I'm working to change my platform for autism and ADHD awareness. So it really just depends. Your platform is whatever you're passionate about, whatever you want to help make a change for. That is what they're looking for in a pageant queen. They want to know you can help make a change in the world. That is like one of the main biggest roles of pageant queens. And I feel like people get this mixed up a lot. I've been told, or I've heard, that a pageant queen is just there to look pretty and then the organization works around her image. This is half true, half wrong. She is an image of an organization at most times. She's an image of an organization. But at most times, she is her own organization, her own image. So a pageant will ask you what you advocate. Sometimes, yes, certain pageants look for certain platforms for their organization, or they look for a certain platform where they know this queen, this girl, will work hard for her platform, and they know they can put in time and money to help her achieve her goal. So really, if you're going to go into pageants, I hope that you're not just doing it for the glitz and the glam, because most pageants are not glitzy and glammy. It's mainly strong women power and what is your goal? What do you advocate for? What change do you want to make in the world? It's truly a huge step for your future. I would recommend doing it if you're someone who wants to make a change for something but doesn't know where to start, doesn't know how, or doesn't have the resources. I would definitely recommend that. But do remember, you cannot come in unexperienced. You have to at least know what your goal is and what you will do to solve and go forth with that goal. What's another thing? Makeup. So, different ways of makeup. Usually pageants require natural glam makeup. It usually does not involve many colors. It usually is just very neutral colors. If you know a lot about makeup, you know what I mean with neutral. Basically like browns, golds sometimes, light glitter, very, very neutral glam. And you can either get a makeup artist, which I really recommend if you want to just weigh off that like pressure of having to rush do your makeup plus get ready with other things. So I really would recommend a makeup artist and a hair artist, if possible the same team. But it also depends if the makeup artist doesn't already have a huge line of girls working with her already, because you might get stuck at the bottom, then they might have to rush with you. So it really just depends what you're looking for. If you want to get a makeup artist, if you're going to get the pageant's makeup artist or the pageant's makeup team, I would recommend booking that as soon as possible, like way before the pageant starts, so you can be at like the top of the list and top of the schedule. If you're going to do your own makeup, then you're fine. You don't have to worry about that. Just make sure you plan out your schedule accordingly to know, okay, I got to do my makeup at this time, touch up at this time. Yeah. And then it's basically the same for tanning, nails. If you're going to do your own tanning and your own nails, you don't need to worry about that. Just make sure you find time in your schedule to do that. If you're going to book a nails and a tanning thing, you need to make sure you book early enough that you're at the top of the list or in the middle of the list and not super at the bottom. That way you're not done last. And then also make sure you stay on schedule with that, because if your makeup artist gives you an appointment for a certain time, let's say they say 6 in the morning, make sure you arrive there at 6 in the morning, because if you arrive a little late, it makes it harder not only for the makeup artist, but for the girls who are going to be going after you. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. Always make sure that whatever you're going to do is in it with your schedule. What's another? Honestly, there is so much more that I could talk about, but I don't want this video to be super long, so I think I'll make a part 2. How does that sound? Alright, thank you for listening to my short story time and a couple of tips and tricks for today, as well as figuring out where you can go for a pageant and what you would do in a pageant. I'll give more tips and tricks in the next video. And again, if you have any questions, or maybe you just want to talk to me, you can go ahead and hit me up on Instagram or hit me up on Facebook. I'll leave my Instagram and my Facebook right here. See you guys in the next video.